Welcome back to the Issue Bros.
It's the Silver Man with the big old hammer.
Maxwell, the Silver
It's just
Hammer.
a guy with a big hammer fighting a guy with a big old hammer.
Well, what you have is an axe.
I would consider it more of a hammer. It's quite blunt.
Yeah, but it's got an edge.
Yeah, it's just dull.
Just like my sword.
Ah.
Yeah, unbelievably dull. My sword.
Ah, shit.
Victor, what are you thinking about? What world are you in? I talked almost nonstop for the last
that one
episode.
kind of settled me down.
I was just trying
You're
to...
ranting about your... I've already heard all that before.
You didn't cut in with anything.
I didn't have anything to say about your mobile anime fortress.
I mean, you could have just changed the subject.
Whatever. I'm just thinking about, like, I've got Mastodon stuck in my head because I feel like this DLC is the most Mastodon thing that's ever happened in a video game. Especially with their new album.
Why don't you explain your huge analysis of Mastodon that you
I
did
don't know,
in the car?
man. I've gotten burned out on my own thoughts about Mastodon. No one cares. No one wants to hear about Mastodon. It's like hearing about Coheed and Cambria endlessly. It's like no one cares.
You were more upset about that than I feel like anybody else was. Like,
Well,
I don't think there were
coming
comments
back to
complaining about it. It was just you were like so sick
Yeah.
of hearing me talk about it. But thankfully, I eventually made a video about it. Now I'm over it. You haven't really listened to the new K-Dot. I already made a video about.
Yeah.
What else has been going on? What have you been
working?
consuming?
I'm doing the grind. I mean, the latest 3 things were 13 Cucks, the Bill Nye the Science Guy fucking ruins the world, and that porn documentary show.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that at the...
I don't feel like my thoughts are collected for it anymore. Like, I was ready to go before, but then I talked about the other thing.
Well, talk about it now. Figure it out
I don't
on
know
the
how to
way, on the
start.
fly.
I
Well,
don't
I'll
know.
start you off. There's a porn documentary on Netflix.
There was first a documentary that was about amateur porn and like following these girls and just basically seeing what it's like to live that life, you know, and get into that industry. And it was super fascinating because you don't hear about that. You don't know that story. So it was cool to see it and see the ups and downs and the complications of it. And so they expanded it into a 6-episode mini like documentary series. It's all hour-long episodes that just go into different aspects of like generally porn and sex culture, and it's really fascinating. And it's like, oh, there's one on Tinder that might be interesting, even though it's kind of a different perspective than what Hugh had, because it's like this guy who was like really obsessed with Tinder, and like he's a guy who does like professional bachelorette parties and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's just gotten to this point where it's like Tinder is so dehumanizing that he's just like, he has 2 phones that he's constantly going through Tinder on and just like constantly going on dates with girls and hooking up and stuff, and he's like become this like unintentional red-pilled guy about just fucking a ton of girls. And he was on the show Big Brother before he like ended up getting so red pill, and it just kind of follows him like dating these girls and basically being a huge asshole, but then dodging all responsibility and just kind of like he refuses to talk on the phone with anyone, and like as soon as they get mad at him, he just like cuts them off and stuff. That was interesting.
Why is he doing it? For money or?
Just because he's just obsessed with it. He's just obsessed with hooking up with girls because he's never had like a real relationship, and like you can tell he's the kind of guy who didn't get laid until he was in his mid-20s and put a lot of value on it and a lot of obsession into it, and then he realized, like, he was always kind of like a sappy nice guy, and then he realized like girls just want to have sex with him for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, and it kind of twisted him into thinking like he started thinking of women as shallow and just like wanting to fuck you for no reason.
Right.
And so he just becomes this monster of like wanting to fuck girls all the time and not really getting anything out of it, and like not having any meaning in life. That was interesting.
You reminded me
all kinds of stuff like that.
Why we were talking about that in the car, which is that I'm going to be interviewed by Forbes.
Yeah.
Because this woman contacted me that she's been writing about people who turned fandom into profit.
Yeah.
And she wants to talk to me about that. And she had previously done a story on a professional cosplayer.
Yeah.
And you were talking about how you're fascinated with the professional cosplay world.
Yeah, because I discovered through Hope, who follows, like, she's on Instagram all the time, and I guess because she's liked cosplay photos on Instagram, like, they're constantly suggested to her if she goes into, like, the search thing.
Right.
It's always be these sexy cosplay girls, and then she showed me that they all have Patreons.
Yeah.
And so it's become this thing where it's like, cosplay girls have Patreons now. That's all they do. That's the way they do it. And it's really interesting. Wow.
Well, what fascinates... Yeah, it's really
fascinating.
interesting. I have nothing to say
really
about it.
is.
I just assure you that it is interesting.
That's it. That concept interests me.
Yeah, well, what interests me so much about it is just the thought of people paying you to cosplay.
Yes.
Like, people are paying money to women to post pictures of themselves in costumes, which they were going to do anyways.
Yes.
And just for being hot and wearing an outfit.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, yeah, sure, you have to put together the cosplay and everything. That's, you know, that's one thing. I don't know if the Patreon is meant to fund more costumes.
No. It's all like, if you look at the tiers, it's kind of like, you know, this tier gets you sexy photos or whatever.
Yeah.
If they're doing like porn stuff, then it's like, you know, if you're paying in the high tiers, you're getting like the nudes, and then you're getting like nude video or whatever.
Yeah. So it's
and there's
basically
different
a sex
reward
industry on
tiers.
some level.
Yeah.
But there's some people who
No, I think there's the people who do the porn stuff and then the normal stuff. But you're getting different packages where it's like you'll get different prints and stuff if you pay more.
What's incredible to me, and this goes back to what we were discussing earlier about value, is that some people make unbelievable amounts of money on Patreon for shit that seems like nothing to me.
Uh-huh.
Like, there's people who do like fan art in like one particular style, and they'll be making like tens of thousands of dollars a month. And the only reason is that they're drawing popular characters in a style that appeals to a lot of people. And it's just so broad, like there's so many people who like that style that they're just getting that many small donations, or they have really good reward tiers. And it's like Patreon, the funny thing about Patreon is that the way that I run it is like a tip jar, and that's how a lot of people do. But there's other people who run it like this is the business, is the Patreon. In fact, Asterios Kokonos is a good example of a comedian who, the way his Patreon works is that you pay $1, like if you pay anything, it's just access to a stream of all the comedy he's released anywhere. Yeah. Like it's all stuff that's been published before, but it's all gathered into one place, you know? So, like, it's basically a content stream for everything he makes, but then if you're paying anything higher, it's all patron-exclusive content. So, like, if you pay like a certain amount, you get one of the episodes of the 5-minute podcast, which is where he'll do a 5-minute podcast about any subject you choose, and he'll send it just to you.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of his patronage is just people who are paying really not for his comedy at all, but for the 5-minute podcast. Yeah. Like, they're paying for a thing that's on Patreon. And, you know, like, it's really fascinating to see that there's people who are basically just running like a business out of Patreon as opposed to a tip jar. And like, even for me, I mean, I release all the, like, I have plenty of bonus content you can get for being a patron, but I don't really have the sensation that I'm selling that content, you know? Yeah. I'm selling my main channel videos, but depending on how much you pay for them, you get access to this other stuff. You know, maybe it's not that different, but, like, I could be doing a lot more with it, and some people are. You know, some people are going all out, and it's like, they really have a closer relationship with their patrons and stuff, which part of the reason I don't do that is that I don't want to be beholden to individuals. I prefer my Patreon to feel like a mass. You know, like anything, there's nothing that's individualized about mine. I don't want you to be getting like a product that's just for you, or like extra communication or anything. Like, you're strictly paying for, you know, like the content that's already being released to everybody on your tier, you know. because of the fact that there's a lot of dangers that come with letting it get more individualized, you know, where you disappoint somebody and they won't pay you anymore, and you know, I don't want to be at that. What the fuck is happening here? That's a big, scary.
It's scary, man.
This is a very Bloodborne-y area.
Definitely. I mean, Dark Souls 3 is definitely, the art design is much closer to Bloodborne than
I think that's just because of the
Dark
graphics
Souls
engine,
games.
honestly.
Yeah. They just finally could achieve what they wanted.
Yeah. But, oh god, what the fuck was I saying?
Oh, man.
Patreon.
Gay.
Yeah, it's just, it's really weird to think that, like, and I mean, the video, I'm not saying that, like, I put a gigantic level of effort into each individual video I make, but there's a lot of, like, you know, I just feel like I'm delivering this, like, product that had, like, how do I put it? Like, in between my, like, if you pay for 4 videos a month, right? And one of those videos comes out once a week. That's because it takes a week to make the video.
Yeah.
So you have this sensation of, like, there's a constant stream of me doing work and you paying for it. And there's something really, like, weird to me when I see a Patreon that's just like, fund this artist who draws cool fan art, you know? And like, there's no sensation of what exactly you're paying for other than just, like, the existence of it, you know? Like, there's not a set, here's the product and here's what you're paying for it. It's like more of this nebulous, pay this cosplayer to be a cosplayer. Yeah. You know, like, is there a set number of photos a month that they're doing? Is there a certain number of costumes they have to do?
Look one up right now. Figure
per
it
month?
out.
Like,
let's get a list.
I've seen some of them, and I'm just I'm always lost. I'm just like, what are they paying you for other than literally existing and being a cosplayer? Yeah. You know? Like, it's like a fund my life, but my life happens to be something you want to watch. Yeah. Which Patreon's explicitly not for, but if they're paying for the cosplay, they're paying for the cosplay. Tom has somehow gotten away with a Fund My Life Patreon. Huh. He has patreon.com/saveme. And he's running a whole campaign of, like, save me from my hellish life.
Save me from the nothing I've become.
Yeah. I don't know why he doesn't just make a GoFundMe for that. But... yeah. It's a whole world, man. And there's just... I just see so many people throwing around so much money, you know? And, like, a lot of it's because it's not my industry. Like, I will never make as much money doing anything I do as anyone in the sex trade will. Oh, yeah. You know, like on, and I don't just mean, like, the actual sex trade, but, like, just anything that's around the fact that it's attractive people, you know? Like, being attractive is a way to make money. If you're a streamer with big tits, your big tits are making money. Like, you know?
We're at the Dick Show Live, and I'm like, what's her name? Peach Saliva's there, and she's being, like, super flirty with everyone, you know, dressed all super hot, and I'm just like, she's shilling her stream, man. How many more followers do you think she got that night? You know, just by being super hot
and free drinks.
In a place, yeah.
You know,
and free drinks.
Like,
well, that's how you got to make that money.
If you're attractive,
you gotta get people hooked to you. You know.
Yeah. If you're attractive, you can make a lot of money just based on being attractive. I'm not attractive. I can't sell that product. Yes. You know, all I can sell is arrogance and anime reviews and a constant source of dialogue, if that's what you want. If you just want to hear some guy's voice all the time, you know. Yeah. And I feel like maybe the reason I can't see myself making that much more money is because on some level I feel like I'm engaging with the content the same way as a lot of my fans, because I watch all my own videos. Yeah. You know, I produce it, I watch it back, but maybe I just don't, I don't know. I don't know what I'd pay, I don't know what I would patron myself.
Are you ready for some dope random optional encounter?
What do you think, if you had all the money in the world and I wasn't your brother, is that fucking Ornstein?
That's remember that he was a boss in the game.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. It's the Dragon Slayer armor guy.
Yeah.
And he's just here. For some reason, this boss is here. Oh god, my lightning stuff doesn't do a lot to him.
Nope. Fuck. I'd imagine it would. You're using his women.
Yes.
Anyway, what was I about to ask? Oh yeah. So if you had a lot of money, and I wasn't your brother, and you were a fan of my content, what do you think you would patron me?
I don't know. I wouldn't do it because my method for tipping and collecting art right now is I need money more than you, so
Well,
I'm not going to pay
saying
you.
if you had the money, if you had just free spending money, what do you think?
Well,
you'd
I guess
patron?
I patron the Dick Show for $5 a month for the bonus episodes.
Right.
Even though I'm broke, so I guess I'd $5 a month.
So you just pay for like whatever gets you extra content, but
Yeah.
nothing past that.
Yeah. And if I feel like the extra content's worth it, you know? Like, the bonus episode for the Dick Show are worth it because I value the Dick Show a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I offer bonus content. I don't know how much it's worth to the people who watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many of the people who give me $5 do it because they really like the bonus content, and how many of them just see it as like, well, and another thing, I mean, this is once again where my content is devalued because I release so much for free.
Yeah.
Where like getting an extra 3-hour video from me probably doesn't feel as special because 3-hour videos from me come out all the time.
You know, I wonder
know?
if you could release some things. Like, Baby Ghost just put out a new EP, and I bought it without even listening to it. I bought the cassette tape because I'm like, finally I get to buy something by them, you know?
Yeah.
Because I love them so much, and I haven't put... You know, I bought a couple of their albums, but, like, I haven't had a physical thing they've done.
Yeah.
So I just bought it immediately because it's going to sell out. And, like, I want to support them because they're one of my favorite bands. So, like, I wonder if you could do stuff like that.
I'm sure that's kind of what I'm in talks with Studio 71 about. It's like I want to start releasing products that are tied in. Like I've talked to them about potentially releasing branded sunglasses and branded pajama pants. Those are the two things I really want to do because they're associated with me, you know.
Fuck, I gotta pee real bad. Just keep talking to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking about, like, because I patron a bunch of people, but I patron pretty minimally, you know. But it's also because I feel like I judge everyone, like, everyone I patron, I base it on, like, how good they are in relationship to me, I feel like. So, like, for instance, a lot of the people I patron them $1 just because I feel like, well, they're not patroning me, and I like my own content more than theirs, so I'm not giving them that much, you know? Like, the only person who I, for a long time, have patroned more is Jesse, where I'd patron him up to, like, $3 to $5 a month. And then Dick, who I patron for $5 a month for the bonus episodes. And because Dick's show, I've considered paying more, but I don't think the other bonuses are worth it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the live stream is definitely not worth it, but I kind of want the Dick riding episodes. I just don't know what they're like, which is why I haven't made that plunge. But
But
I mean,
you don't get a sample, so...
Yeah, but I could do it just... I mean, you could patron $10 for 1 month and look at them all and then go, well, that wasn't worth it.
And now I
you
feel
know?
like... Because he's making so much, you couldn't patron and feel like you're doing it to support him, because he's already...
Yeah.
He's already got the support. You're paying for content at that point. Like, it's not a tip jar for the Dick Show, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, at the same time, though, I legitimately care that much about it. Like,
Yeah.
like anybody else, if they made that much more than me on Patreon, I wouldn't patron them. Like, I won't patron Red Letter Media because I already feel like they make
I
as
didn't know
much
they
as...
had a Patreon.
Oh, yeah. Huge Patreon.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I always have.
That explains that, because I didn't feel like they were that huge, you know?
They have a really dedicated, long-time fan base.
Yeah.
You know, for them, it's not so much about the sheer size of it. I mean, they've got like 500,000 subs.
Yeah.
But it's that the people really care, and they sell lots of stuff. They have their branded products. They sell commentaries.
Well,
They
what are you paying for
have
on their
ads.
Patreon? Because they're similar to you, where they put out so many different kinds of content. Is it just monthly
Yeah,
things?
it's just monthly.
Okay.
But they make like 13 grand a month
God
or
damn.
something like that, and have for a long time. So like, but I don't patron them because
Ah,
even though
shit.
I like all their content, I don't like it. Like, I already feel like they're making more than enough, and I don't like it enough to contribute to that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you guys are already, like, if you guys were doing this level of work and making, like, $5,000, I might look at it and go, you know what? You guys deserve to be making more than that. I'm going to chip in. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, you guys are already making a shitload of money. You don't need my dollar, you know? But with Dick, it's like, I hope he makes all the money in the world, you know? Because I really want that show to go on forever, you know? To be able to keep doing whatever it wants. So yeah, like there's just a lot of different kinds of value that go into it, you know, and everyone thinks of it differently. Like, some people will probably comment, or probably have commented by now on the other videos, that like how they think about it, but not everybody thinks about it that way. And I've had patrons tell me different things before, you know. Some people have told me, like, I really patron more, like, for your After Dark stuff, and some people tell me, like, I don't watch any of your extra bullshit. You know, like, if I fucking patron marked a music video, half the people would be really upset, you know, because not a lot of people like that. So all of it makes it complicated, you know. And again, this is why I want to try to develop the multiple revenue streams.
Maybe we'll
kind
get
of gotten back
suggestions
onto that
from
same old point.
From commenters on Digibros.
Yeah, and we'll read them next time on Digibros.
How can we do a Digibros page? If we did a Digibros Patreon, the bonus episodes are Vic Plays. Pay me.
See, the thing about all that, and the biggest fear with making more Patreons, is that they cannibalize each other.
Exactly.
Like, that was everyone's fear when we made the PCP Patreon, is like, are people going to be taking away from our individual ones to fund the group one? You know? And like, everyone was worried about that, because it's like, we really don't want that to happen, but then how can we argue for it to not? And like, you know, currently I feel like people like think of Digibros as partly being funded by my main Patreon. Like, I'm able to do it because of that, but then you're not making any money from it.
I would certainly, if we did a Digibros Patreon, I would just edit all the episodes and shit and release the bonus content, because then I would think of it
tempting.
Being me making the money, you know, because you don't need Digibros Patreon. That would be because I'm desperate for money.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting idea.
But
But
like, wait a minute, I don't
unfortunately,
have to edit this shit anymore.
unfortunately, we're realizing this 3 years into Digibros when it's about to end.
True.
You know,
Very true.
well, potentially end. I mean, we've talked about how, you know, especially if I end up in an RV, or if we just have, like, if we're not that far apart, we can easily meet up once a month and just record. I mean, we've been recording for 4.5 hours now.
Yeah.
We've got a sizable, like, almost half a month of videos.
Well, if you're doing a Patreon,
here.
you feel like you have to, you know, maintain a
Well, it would definitely have to be a standard upload schedule. But what we'd probably do is either have it be once every other day, or like cut it down to 10 minutes an episode, although people wouldn't like that, because I think what's great about this show is
we'd
that
figure something out.
is that 20 minutes is exactly long enough to make a whole conversation. You know? Incidentally, next time on Digibros, Victor hopefully makes it out of this room alive.
This part's easy, it's okay.